Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open to business. And while I'm at it, Yvonne, there were two guys out there who wanted Yvonne to make them some cowboy signs. She's been looking for you guys. She said you guys have been missing in action, and she has them done. So get in touch with Yvonne so that way you can get your signs and everything else. And send some pictures to show me exactly what you guys got, because that's kind of cool. I mean, this is handcrafted specifically for the Joe Boo's Man Cave, and I'm appreciative of you, Yvonne. So, guys, Keenan and I think Dan, get in touch with Yvonne. But thank you for joining into this morning's edition of Don't Sleep on the Dallas Cowboys, because you literally cannot sleep on the Dallas Cowboys. Things happen late in the evening, late at night, first thing in the morning, and you want to be up to speed with everything that is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I got to tell you, I'm still can't believe that we're over 25,000 subscribers, and I'm thanking each and every one of you guys, even you trolls, because Lord knows you trolls are on here before the Cowboy fans. But sometimes when you do this stuff, and it takes a lot of time, guys, it really does take a lot of time. They say don't quit your day job, because if you do, you're going to be broke if you're depending on YouTube. But it takes a lot of time and effort and things like that to get out here and try and know what you're talking about. And that's not to say I think I'm right on everything. I'm not. I make mistakes. I'll be the first one to admit it. But everybody does when they cover football, because it's really unpredictable. It really is. Nobody saw the Philadelphia Eagles getting a ring last year, other than their delusional fans. But, they think that every year. But sometimes you question when you see some of the comments and things like that. When you've worked hard and all of a sudden everybody wants to throw you under the bus, people that you've worked with and things. People call you out and say you're a bandwagon fan on a regular, or you're just a clickbaiter, and you're a scrub. You're not a real Cowboy fan and things. And sometimes you start kind of saying, why do I go through the trouble of this? John, DMV Dallas Cowboys, same thing. He's putting in all the work and things and all this stuff, taking time away from his wife and his family and stuff, and you get grief. Believe me, when you go downstairs and do work and stuff on this, you get the side eye from the wife like, yeah, you're spending a lot of time doing. You want to go on a trip where? How much is that costing? So it's not like you're working for ESPN and getting a paycheck and being no, this is people putting their own time, energy, money, and everything else to do this, because it's a love of doing this and being part of the Cowboys. I love talking about the Cowboys, but sometimes you just kind of like, you know what? Why do I do this? But then this kind of thing happens. Every morning I wake up, I'm thinking about the Cowboys first thing. I roll over, hug and snuggle with my wife, give her a kiss and things like that. And then I'm checking everything to see, did anything happen last night with my Cowboys? From Bleacher Report to 12 Up to Yard Barker, ESPN, NFL.com, NFL Media, all of these different things, and seeing, okay, what's the latest news on it? Because I come down here and talk about it to fill you guys in. Then I check my email. And from time to time, I get emails from people that really touch me. And this one is from Software Girl. Almost 2 years ago, my husband and I lost our son in a car accident. He was a big Cowboys fan, and I've never been big on any sport, and my husband is a fan of a different team. I never asked him why he was a Cowboy fan, but he certainly never missed a game, and he owned a lot of Cowboys merchandise. Shortly after losing him, I decided to get into football, and of course cheer for the team my pride and joy cheered for. Just became a Cowboys fan. I wanted to thank you for your hard work on YouTube. Your videos have kept me informed and helped me continue to understand how football works, and you keep me up to speed with our Dallas Cowboys. You helped me in the transition to a football fan and a Cowboys fan for life. I can see why my son loved America's team, with all the good and the bads that come with it. Cherish every moment with your family, my friend, and spread the mojo. May our God bless you and your wonderful friends and family. Software girl, I'm sorry that you lost your son. That's, I mean, it's tragic. To be a parent should never have to bury their own child, and my heart goes out to you and your family. It's things like this that make me realize why every moment that I spend doing this makes me rich beyond imagination. When I hear soldiers that are halfway across the world that say, I can't really get much on the Dallas Cowboys other than Armed Forces Network, which doesn't give me much, but I keep up to the Cowboys. I feel a little bit at home because of what you do on the channel. You don't know how much that means to me that I'm helping in a small part. And that is the motivating factor. So, there's tons of you other YouTubers out there that think I'm crap, a clickbaiter. There's other ones out there that think that I'm a bandwagon fan, I'm really an undercover Texans fan. There's some of you that are just flat out assholes that hate me. You know what? I don't care. Because I have some great people that enjoy what I do. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep working that much harder. And I'm going to keep trying to make a difference in this world and leave my mark. Thank you so much, Software Girl. You have just motivated the hell out of me, and I appreciate that. Especially with training camp starting. Next Wednesday, our Dallas Cowboys will land in Oxnard. The following Wednesday, I'll be landing out in California myself, and we'll be at training camp on the 2nd. And I cannot wait to cover our Dallas Cowboys. And guys, believe it or not, we've had a major change in this team. Whether you believe it or not, this team is almost rebuilt in a season. We've had dramatic changes, and it doesn't seem like it, but we really have. Because when you start thinking about this, the Dallas Cowboys did a hell of a lot with not a whole lot to start out with. We started this offseason with $19 million, which far and away, if you look at how the Dallas Cowboys have been in the past, $19 million is a lot. Because usually at the end of the season, we're usually about $25 million over. And we're gutting the team, and we're basically restructuring contracts to get more money so that way we at least are under the salary cap to begin the year. So the fact that we started out with 19 is probably the first time we've been in the black in who knows how long. Because of a pattern that we started doing back around the mid-2000s when we signed Marion Barber after one good season of, being a beast, and he was the original beast mode. But he wasn't even a full-time starter running back, but you give him a $45 million contract. You get a Jay Ratcliffe, who was playing pretty good in the defensive line, but he gets a mega deal, and he ends up becoming a rat to the Cowboys and basically sat out. I couldn't play until he got signed by somebody else, and then he was fine. Your DeMarcus Ware contract, your Tony Romo contract, your Miles Austin. Miles Austin had a great season. We signed him to a mega deal, and boom. So all of those contracts that we kept doing and having to restructure so we could get under the cap killed us. We wouldn't have flexibility to do much of anything. But beginning of last year, the Cowboys started getting rid of those contracts. The Morris Claibornes, Brandon Carrs and things. And this year, Dez Bryant. And I know there's still a lot of people that think we shouldn't have got rid of Dez Bryant, but it is what it is. We got a lot of dead money, $25 million right now. But we took that $19 million, and instead of making possibly that same mistake where we do a big-ass contract that comes back to bite us later, they said we'll just tag. We'll take the bullet this year on DeMarcus Lawrence and make sure with that franchise tag. So he took 17 of that 19. Cut a couple other guys, Orlando Scandrick, Des Bryant, created a little bit more room. Did a tender on David Irving. Now, we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be value add or not, but we're not structured where it's a big deal. It's another prove-it season for him, and if he comes back after the 4-game suspension and plays lights out, it was a good deal. But you're not committed long term. You got him done. And you looked at your team and said, what were the problems that we had? Our wide receivers weren't fast. We didn't do good enough in the passing game. Our offensive line transitioned from Lyle Collins being injured the year before at a guard to now being a tackle. We lost a Ron Leary. We had a Tyron Smith that was hurt. Our offensive line was in shambles. We didn't have depth to replace it. So you sign a Cameron Fleming who has starting ability, a guy who protected Tom Brady. Okay? Tom Brady. Kept him upright. Played in a Super Bowl. You got some depth there. You signed some speedy wide receivers from Allen Hurns, Jacksonville. And I know people are like, oh, look at his numbers. And the same thing with Deontay Thompson. Well, he's a nobody. Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. They're fast. And let's take a look at the teams that they came from. It would be different if you came from, say, New England or Green Bay, and your numbers were pedestrian, from teams that passed a whole lot that were great teams. But we're talking about Jacksonville, Buffalo, and Chicago. Not exactly teams that can pass the ball. So let's see what they do in our offense. So give them a chance, because our 80%, as Vash Lombardi, shout out to Vash, will call some of the fans, you're calling guys bums before they even had a chance to even play a game or even put on shoulder pads. I like speed. Speed kills. And that's something that we have not had. We have not had guys that can get separation on cornerbacks. Guys that can make a move and leave a guy in the dust. Des Bryant was a possession type of receiver. He's a guy who's always going to have people draped on him and have to do jump balls that are 50-50. Now you have guys who can get loose with a quarterback who finds the open player. We'll see if that works. The defense, we went through and we said linebacker was a problem. Well, part of that got better, hopefully, just from the fact of time with Jalen Smith moving around without a brace. But you drafted a Vander Esch, a young guy to help play in the middle. You still have Damian Wilson, who right now is at a prove-it point in his career. He's going to be hungry to try and do well as well. So you got some depth now at linebacker, because clearly when Sean Lee went down and we were giving up 100 yards more on the ground, you had a problem with the backups. So you got depth on this team. And doing all of this, signing these guys, right now, you still have $14 million in cap space. In fact, projections are with the players that are signed right now, if we don't cut anybody, that next year we will have $52 million of cap space. Third highest projected right now in the NFL. Think about that, guys. We came in as one of the bottom teams with cap room. We franchise tagged DeMarcus Lawrence. We tendered David Irving. We signed Cameron Fleming, who started in the Super Bowl protecting Tom Brady. You got a speedy wide receiver in Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson. Oh, and you made a trade for Trayvon Austin. I know I say Trayvon, and I can't get it right. I'm sorry. I've got a list. I just have bumped my head too many times. Austin, more speed. You filled in a lot of holes. But what may even be bigger for this team is the changing in the coaching And I think that's a subtle change in philosophy. Hiring Chris Richard. All of a sudden, I think he's going to get a lot more out of the cornerbacks than what we've been getting. You can already see how Byron Jones is super hyper about being a cornerback. You're seeing, that real enthusiasm of him and his coaching style. You got Sanjay Lau for a wide receiver coach, who is a tactician and route disciplinarian, who is teaching these guys how to really be in the right place, the right time, with balance, with speed, with everything they should be in a position to make plays. You got a new strength coach. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, from the Giants. And you can look back over the history of the Cowboys over the last 10 years. And for whatever reason, hamstrings have been our bugaboo. I don't know if we're not stretching enough. I don't know if we're not lifting the right way. But something we're doing, maybe it's in the water, has just been bad for hamstrings. So maybe the change in strength coach and conditioning coach will end up making an impact on the players being able to stay on the field. Let's be honest. Our rookie class last year had more hamstring pulls than you could shake a stick at. Switzer couldn't get on the field. You couldn't get Awuzie. Every time we tried to get Awuzie to play in a game, he tweaked that hamstring. Woods. And we won't even talk about Sean Lee over the years with all the hamstring issues. So that is a big change for the Cowboys. And you start putting all these things together. And you, of course, have the draft, where you get a Connor Williams and a Van Der Esch, as well as a Michael Gallup. You've gone from being an older team a few years ago to now being one of the youngest. You've gone from being a possession type of a team to now being a speed team. You went from having very little room to be able to make any maneuvers to all of a sudden now having next year tons of money if you decide to make some moves. You have locked up your offensive line for the next 4 or 5 years. The Dallas Cowboys have to get an A for what they have accomplished in this offseason. And what we're going to be doing here the last couple of days before the season starts is we're going to be breaking down each one of these changes and how we think it's going to affect the Dallas Cowboys. Guys, we got 50 days, 6 hours until kickoff against the Carolina Panthers. I don't know about you, but I am ready for the 2018 season. I'm Mark Holmes. Thank you guys, as always, for watching the Joe Boo Sports Report. I'll see you soon.